We did a lot of hard work to figure out Chuck's number one.
Charlie did a lot of drinking. And
I had to go to bed early.
About on the floor.
All right, welcome to the final recording this year of E=MC Bourbon. So we've spent the whole year tasting bourbon, and tonight we're going to show you what we think are our top 3 and our bottom 3 whiskeys, bourbons that we have found this year. So the criteria that we had to do is we had to have personally bought the bottle. So if Brian bought it and sent it to us, it doesn't count in this fiscal year. So
are you assuming that the ones I sent would be bottom 3?
Yes, I am.
American honey.
Surprise!
Yeah. So if we found like a release that was from 2019, but we bought it in 2020, it still does count. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. So we're going to start out with our bottom 3, and we're going to let Brian go first, and then I'm going to go, and Chuck's going to round us up for the bottom 3. So Brian, let's have it.
All right. Well, my first one has a little bit of a backstory. So, if you've ever been to like your 10-year high school reunion, 15-year high school reunion, 20-year, anything like that.
Didn't go.
You might be able to relate to this. There's that.
Have you been to the 20-year? Or haven't you been out like 25 years?
This is a hypothetical.
Oh, okay.
There's that person that you had a crush on back in the day. There was just like, they were your first love. Maybe you dated, maybe you didn't. Maybe you were just crushing on them. And it's just like, oh, I'm excited to see them again and where they're at. It's like they were just so great back in the day.
I'm surprised you can remember that back. So is this more like college themed for you?
Just let me finish the story. And then all of a sudden it's like at that high school reunion, you see him and it's like, oh, time has not done you any favors. We'll just say that. And so that's kind of where I feel like my first low, like disappointed bourbon of the year is, I hate to say it, it's going to be a surprise, but AD Laws, their Secale straight rye. AD Laws, I'm not dogging on you. I love you. You were one of the first whiskeys I really got into, and you are the part of the reason I'm here today. But for whatever reason, this particular one, I went back. I've had this Secale rye before. I've enjoyed it. It's bottle and bond. I remember it being great stuff. And for whatever reason, this particular bottle just let me down. I saw it on the shelf, and I had a lot of that, high school nostalgia. Just, oh, there it is. My first love. There you are. I see you after all this time. And then it just didn't quite do it for me. So there we go. That reaches one of my disappointments of the year right there. Second one, a little bit less of a story. No, not horribly bad. Not horribly bad. Just not as good as I remembered.
35 minutes later.
Yeah.
Second one. All right, here we go. Second one. Woodford Rye.
Looks like you really dislike that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might even use this for like a mixer for stuff. I'm not sure. Just if I was going to introduce someone to a rye, I might use this. It just doesn't have the flavor profile that I look for in a rye.
Was this a rye list? Top and bottom 3 rye? I was confused about this list.
No, it is not a rye list.
Okay.
Ryan just likes to be different, special.
Okay.
Yeah. So, once again, it's not horrible. It just doesn't have the complexity and the quality that I was typically hoping for in a Woodford product. And I felt like I was drinking water. So now, last one. This one is a little bit of a disclaimer, expectation.
So is this
issue.
like your worst, or is this like you started at the worst and then worked your way up?
No, there's no rhyme or reason to this order.
Of course not. Brian, be prepared to have a. Of course not.
I'm prepared.
Right,
Come on. So this one here is probably an expectation issue. I had heard good things about this one from people. I was excited. And honestly, I think maybe it was my expectation at the $20 price point. I was expecting something that tasted beyond that. And it just didn't quite live up to some of the hype some of my friends have been talking about. So Old Grandad, you're good to me. At the end of the day, it's a $20 bottle. You get a $20 bottle.
Well, that's the Old Grandad bottle and bond, to clarify.
Yes, bottle and bond. Yes. I was hoping that it would taste above its price tag, and I felt like it just met the price tag. Nothing special.
So in that price point, you're still going Evan Williams bottle and bond.
Yes. At that price point, I'm still going Evan Williams bottle and bond. And I was hoping for like another Evan Williams at that price point, or maybe even something that's slightly better. And for me, it just didn't do that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Those are my bottom three.
All right. So my bottom three aren't necessarily they're bad in any such way. I think they're decent bourbons. But what they are is the hype and the excitement.
Wait, like you guys are just like letting them down easy. You think they have personalities, and their feelings are going to get hurt if you guys say that they're bad. Like,
well, it's
give it to them. Put the hammer down.
If I wanted to put a bad bourbon on the list, I would have asked for your beer finish stuff you sent us. That was bad bourbon. So
or that Templeton Rye.
Right.
Yeah, that beat some of the stuff that I sent.
Yeah, so that stuff's bad. I do a lot of research when I buy bourbon, and I generally get good products. But at the end of the day, if you tried 100 bourbons, there's going to be some really good ones and some bad ones. And these ones are kind of the biggest letdowns.
Normal distribution, typically.
Yep. So my first letdown is Woodford Double Oaked. There was a lot of hype for it. It's a limited release from the distillery itself. People go crazy for this. I think their entire allocation sold out in 2 weeks, which is thousands of bottles of these tiny 375 milliliters, which is a $50 bottle. So I expected it to be something super special. And to be honest, if I were going back at it, I would just buy the Double Oaked for about the same price, and you get a $7.50. So this was easily my first disappointment of the year. My second, I can take with Whiskey Advocate. They named this the best bourbon of the year, which is Larceny Barrel Proof. And this one that I've got is B520. And I was excited because, again, Larceny Barrel Proof, this was the first year for it. This was the second release of it. They're doing 3 a year. And I thought it was super lacking. There's a ton of other stuff out there, the weeded mash bills, barrel proof, things like that you can get. And this just was not a hitter for me. I thought it was, had a great nose. And then from then on, it just lacked and there wasn't anything really there. So Whiskey Advocate, I think you're wrong.
Not an advocate for me.
No matter how you special score this nonsense. And then my final one, which is probably the most controversial, is the 2020 release of Mickers 10-year bourbon. It is a $140 bottle that I got, and I lucked out to get it. I was glad to get it. And again, it has a great nose. It smells delicious. And then from there on, it just drops off. There's not really much on the palate, not much on the finish. It's everything you would expect and want from a bourbon, but at $140, I expect to get some wow factor in there. Because if I want to spend that type of money for a bourbon and not get a wow factor, what am I doing? So same price bottle, any of the Discovery series from Bardstown are going to be better products than this all day long. And if I want to spend half the price, I could do Wild Turkey Rare Breed, and it's a better pour and at a higher proof because it is a 90 proof product. So these are my bottom three of the year. Again, none of them are terrible. They were just kind of disappointment.
I'm going to pull a wild card here because I'm 1/3 of this. Well, I'm like half this channel. And even though I bought some bourbons that I'm not so happy with, I have so many good bourbons that I really couldn't narrow it down to 3. So I'm going to start at my bottom, number 6. And I blinded my top 8 off. And some honorable mention things that didn't make it were Bardstown
So
Discovery.
you're breaking the rules.
Absolutely.
We were supposed to have bottom three, top three.
I make the rules, so
and you're like, hey, I'm Charlie. I'm just gonna go top 6 because that's what I do.
You missed the meeting, the pre-show meeting that TJ and I had that discussed this. Anyway, honorable mention outside my top 6, Bardstown Discovery Series. Fantastic. This was Bardstown Discovery Series number 2, which all of them are wonderful, but didn't quite make it. And then also the Barrell Bourbon products, and this was batch 24. Didn't make it into the top 6. But starting at number 6, William Heavenhill Bottled and Bond. So this is 13-year distillery release. Lucky enough to get this on my last trip to Louisville. It's a very, very nice. Also, number 5, another Heavenhill product, the Old Fitz 16. So I thought I was wrong there. Notice both of these two bottom ones are Bottled and Bond, 100 proof. The rest of mine are going to be a little bit higher proof. So in the blind off, these two are probably a little bit hamstrung.
And Heavenhill Distillery only releases right there.
Yep. This Old Fitz is amazing. TJ and I blinded it off against his Pappy 15, and we both picked the Old Fitz. So definitely inside the top 6. Really happy with that one. Rounding out my bottom three of the top 3 is Lux Row 12-year, the double barrel. This was, I'd say, the surprise of the year. Just really nice. You can still get it at the distillery if you're in the area. But that's my bottom 3.
Bottom 3 of your top 6.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah. Thanks.
Breaking the rules. Just I want to be very clear to everyone. You are not following the rules. So, all right. So my turn. My top 3.
All right. Let's see it. I'm excited.
Alrighty. So much like the high school fling that just isn't quite the same 10 years later.
Every now and then. Did you just have a high school reunion?
Every now and then.
His 30th.
He just got Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Every now and then things are as good as you remember. Maybe even better. And I just want to go with, I got to shout out to Laws here. Their 6-year, 4-grain Bottle and Bond, phenomenal. We all drank this. We rated it very, very well. Well done, Laws. That's all I have to say about that. By the way, the Secale, they actually now have a 6-year that I want to try as a result of this 6-year, just to see if it'll redeem itself. So that's in my top 3. Phenomenal product. Well done. 6-year. It's unique because it's a 4-grain. Very nice. Then we're going to go to one of my more recent loves that I just picked up. Actually, it's like the start of this year, pre-COVID, 2020. I actually did a small little blinding of different things and small amounts to get ready. And this one she stuck with me. I just couldn't move her out of my top 3.
Yep.
And, putting this in just made me feel good inside. Just wanted me to say, just made me want to shout inside, Yippee-ki-yay.
Oh, interesting.
And that's the last release of it, too.
Yes. So, and that is part of why it's in here. Highwest.
And it's Christmas, which when you say Yippee-ki-yay, you just think of John McClane.
I know, John McClane. I mean, do we want to get into is it a Christmas movie? Is it not? Debate. I think we all agree it's a Christmas
not a debate,
movie.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So Yippee-ki-yay, you are delicious. You are amazing. Highwest, why? Why have you ended this goodness? Probably something to do with profit margin on product, but I want me some more Yippee-ki-yay. I'm saving the rest of this for
tears there.
At least today. I won't. I'm crying over this. So and then another.
So you hang on. 3. So I don't know what's your number 1 here, but you have a Midwinter Night's Dram. So
I do.
You're saying Yippee
I did a little bit of comparison between the two. Did a little bit of blind and
A little
Wait.
bit of a blind. What is
a
that?
little bit of blind.
Brian prepared? I don't know
No,
what to believe.
I don't believe
think
it.
so.
That's why
No.
that's why I'm questioning this language. A little
did.
bit of blind.
Yeah, it was a quick, just quick, and tried. And yeah, at the end of the day, I was just like, I just prefer, my palate, I just prefer the Yippee over the Midwinter. It was close. I actually did them against each other. I had a feeling both of them, one of those at least would be my top three, and Yippee came out on top. So finally, I'm going with one that I got very recently, within the last couple of weeks.
Who would have thought?
I know, on a trip to Louisville. I think there could be some guesses in there.
How did you say that?
Huh?
How did you say the name of the city?
Louisville?
Louisville. We got to get it right. Marbles in the mouth. Louisville.
Okay, there we go. So picked this one up recently. Any guesses?
Oh, I know what it is. I haven't. We got an episode coming, so that's the exciting
Well,
thing.
it can't be the Lux Row because you totally passed on that one. You should have bought it.
I regret passing on the Lux Row.
Yeah.
Yep.
Biggest regrets of the year.
Yeah, top regrets of
That
2020.
third piece of cake yesterday and the Lux Row.
Yeah.
It might have involved us standing outside downtown Louisville for 6 hours, something like that.
No,
actually, it does not.
I lost track of time.
Oh, it doesn't. Interesting.
It does not. This is a quick trip to the grocery store.
Oh,
For
this
amazing
is the
find.
Phifer?
The
Bardstown Phifer.
Wow.
Coming through. Start to finish, this one brings it. So the Old Folk President's Choice was actually my number 4 when I was kind of looking at ranking these. But the Phifer made top 3. I haven't really ranked these as 1, 2, 3 within the top 3. These are just my top 3. But the nose on this is just, I describe as perfection. Delicious. It's what I'm drinking right now. Great color, great taste, start to finish. We'll review this at some point, maybe in more detail.
Yep.
But yeah, so Bardstown. You made my top 3.
So a 4 grain and a finished rye and a finished bourbon are your top 3.
Yep, pretty much.
Yep.
I'm proud of you that a finished product didn't include, well, American honey isn't actually finished, but
I was shockingly surprised at how well that American honey was straight. It could have been a dark horse.
To be fair, we've brought him from American honey to finished bourbon. One of these days we'll get him to a straight bourbon, but next year, 2021, we will have him there. Which, I mean, to be fair though, the Bardstown making your top list over the President's Choice, that's a big deal. And
it is.
We do have a review of 3 different President's Choices coming up. That'll probably be the first episode of 2021 after this one here.
And I had a little sip of it for the first time since then, and I forgot how delicious it was.
It is good.
So good.
All right, so my top 3, and I actually did the research and ordered these from bottom to top. So the third place is...
I just didn't want to. I couldn't do it.
Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Batch C. So a lot of people out there are saying Batch B is better than Batch C. We all blinded all 3, and the 3 of us unanimously agreed for our palates, Batch C was the best. And keeping in that tradition, it is really, really good. Honestly, you can't beat a barrel strength product from Elijah Craig. It's $50 to $60, maybe $70, depending on where you live. 3 different iterations every year. They're 3 very different, having tasted all 3, taste completely different from each other, but they're all high quality. So Batch C is 3rd place. 2nd place is a bottle that I have been trying to find forever, and that is Barrel Strength 4 Roses, but the kicker is it is recipe OESV. This is the best 4 Roses barrel strength I've ever had OESV recipe. It's the only OESV recipe I've had. I've had 4 other recipes, and it doesn't come close. This thing is just absolutely amazing. It's got a creamy mouthfeel, everything you want from a bourbon, and then the 4 Roses spices and herbal notes hit at the end. It is just absolutely amazing and delicious. Again, about a $70 to $80 bottle. And then the one that's just going to break the bank, but if you get a chance to buy it, I can't recommend it enough. And my glass is empty, which means I get to pour a little bit after this, which is Barrell 15-year-old. So I got this given to me as a Christmas present from my man Chuck, which was great. We opened it that night. It was absolutely amazing. Everything you want. If you find this and you can afford it, it is absolutely worth every penny they put it at. It is a blended product, because all barrel products are, but it is just absolutely delicious. It's got everything you could want from a bourbon. So yeah, so these are my top 3 bourbons of 2020 that I was able to get. So Chuck, round us out.
All right, so this is the top 3 of the top 6. And again, so I blinded these off, and so they fell where they fell. I didn't, no preconceived notions here. So coming in at number 3, I mean, I was super stoked to get this bottle. Never thought in wildest dreams that I would actually be able to have the chance to buy this. This is the 2020 George T Stag out of the BTAC collection. So coming in at 130 proof. My tasting notes from when I was blinding this off, I just said bold and beautiful. And that I think sums it up quite well. So number 3, George T Stag. Coming in number 2, this one's a bit of the dark horse. I was telling these guys when I was tasting this before they had it, how good this was. And they were like kind of brushing me off. TJ actually blinded my top 4 off. This actually came in at number 1 for him. Although I got him to change his mind later, but still, like, clearly a phenomenal bourbon. This is Pursuit Series 32. So this is out of the Bourbon Pursuit podcast. So this is a single barrel, likely out of Dickel, Tennessee. This is a 15-year bottle, and we've had a few other Pursuit Series. Never had a bad one. Some of the other ones that we've had a wonderful nose. We actually use them as, I call them as checks on nose. Like, so if somebody says this has a great nose, we go ahead and pour some of that Pursuit Series to check against it. This one had everything. It had the nose, the palate, the finish, and clearly it had to have made the top 2. Coming in at number 1. Well, before I say number 1, so there were TJ and Brian wouldn't let me put 2 Old Carters or 2 any single brand in my top 6. These silly rules. So prior to the taste off of my top 8, I went ahead and did just a head-to-head between these 2 Old Carters, and the single barrel 13-year won out. So that's what is my number 1 bourbon of the year. Old Carter, single barrel, 13 years. This is barrel 73. We're actually, TJ, when's our review of these 2 going to drop?
It would have been last week, so I will link
there you go. Check it out.
Yep, I'll link it up above.
Yep.
And I believe Charlie has actually moved in TJ and my direction on that one, and that was originally me and TJ's favorite.
So what you guys just said, it was like head and shoulders better than the batch 6, and I just didn't agree with that. I still don't agree that it's head and shoulders better. The batch 6 is fantastic as well, but it was a clear winner in the blind. So, and it beat out even in the top 6. So, you really, when this is your lineup of your best 3 bourbons of the year, you have to say you're blessed. So 2020 was crummy for a lot of reasons, but I can say this George T Stag and this Pursuit Series and this here Old Carter single barrel were reasons to celebrate.
Reasons to be thankful.
And the first season of E=MC Bourbon. We survived.
Yeah.
So If you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. As of filming this, we're at 48. Let's see if we can hit 50 before going into 2021. That'd be amazing for us. But keep tuning in because we've got several more reviews, everything coming your way. And we've got Brian's crappy whiskey coming our way too. Which
garbage that Brian sends.
Yeah, garbage that Brian sends us.
Yeah.
We can hardly wait to review the things that Brian sends.
Yeah. In fairness, several of these probably belong in my bottom 3 for this episode, but I didn't want to give anything away. I'm
just
that
gonna
excited.
remember this moment. Like, this is my happy place. and when I'm drinking the garbage that Brian sends, I'm just gonna try to mentally think back to this moment in time.
You are going to need to, sir. You will need to.
So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Stay neat. Merry Christmas.
Power Bourbon.